For most people in the HbbTV community, our next speaker needs no introduction, but you may not know him, so I will introduce him. It's Jon Piesing, and Jon leads the specification work within the HbbTV Association. Among many other roles, he plays in many other organizations as well. And Jon is going to give us the update on the specs, more detail than what Vincent gave us earlier. Jon Piesing from TP Vision. Your clicker is there.
Okay. 10 minutes? We'll see. So, good morning, everyone. I'm very pleased to be here. My first time in Istanbul, and it's a great place from what I could see in the rain yesterday, and I hope I will have a little bit more of an opportunity to see it. So, I'm going to take you through some of the more details on the activities of HbbTV. These slides, as has been said, will be on the website. There are a number of links in there that you can follow up on things. There will be, some of them have way too much detail to appreciate in this format, so download them and read them at your pleasure. And if you download them and read them by tomorrow morning, you can have a session on some of them in the unconference if you like. Or you can come and ask me, and I promise asking me questions about these slides tomorrow is not bothering me. It's using the opportunity that we have here. So, one thing, I thought I've used this one before, but I will use it again. HbbTV specification workflow. So how do we actually do this stuff? So we have a requirements group who surprisingly develop requirements. I'll say a little bit more about that in a bit. We have a specification group, which is the group I chair, that writes the specification and is responsible for unit test descriptions. We have a testing commercial group, which is basically responsible for all the things that are commercially sensitive. They make a proposal to the steering group on where to spend money. And we have an improving interoperability task force who collect feedback on interoperability in the market and interoperability problems and look at what we can do better. Because you can always do better. Now, I've used variants of this slide before. People throw numbers around like crazy. So, again, this is really for reference, but all our specs have an informal name and a formal name when they are standardized by ETSI. So if somebody is talking about 204, that is identically equal to TS 102 796171, and it was published by ETSI in September 23. So 205, what we're working on at the moment, a few highlights. So it's most likely coming early next year. The two biggest highlights, I would say, are WebAssembly and DRM. Vassal's already said something about DRM, and I've got a bit more about it yesterday, coming in a bit. WebAssembly. There is an excellent WebAssembly demo from 3CAT. So that uses WebAssembly to do software decoding for signing. And that's an interesting feature because it's probably already in existing TVs unless somebody's taken the trouble to actually disable it. And both WebAssembly and DRM are documenting today's reality. So it's making it more testable and making content providers and their developers more confident to rely on it. We also have refactored the way we do video codecs. And this will make it easier to include optionally AV1 and VVC.
Jon, I just want to interrupt you. Is that really 2027 there?
No, it isn't.
Okay.
Thank you. Remind me to fix that one before it gets uploaded.
We'll get that fixed, Jörn, before we publish these ones. Thanks. Carry on. More video codecs. AV1 probably works accidentally with HbbTV in many TVs today.
just because of the way the software is implemented. We're also going to include optionally HTTP3 that may work accidentally in many TVs because of the way they're implemented. We're also continuing something we started last time, which is tidying up unused and historical features. And there's more of that coming next. So, tidying up. So one thing that mattered 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago that is less important now is video via broadcast and audio via broadband. It's complicated to implement, and actually now, unlike when we started, you can just use video, send both of them via broadband for the people who want that kind of content. OTT streaming, when we started, Dash was this new thing. MSE was an issue in an issue tracker. So we went with MPEG-2 transport stream and HTTP, regular HTTP. And we're now going to be making that optional because you shouldn't be using it unless it's to address, I know some people have 10-year-old TVs in there used by consumers, but excluding that, yeah. We're relaxing the requirements for built-in fonts. There used to be some competition with 2 different suppliers for these. One of them bought the other one. So we're making it slightly easier for people who have difficulty obtaining the one from the single supplier or find that the cost is a bit too high. One of the trick technologies around advertising that the W3C tried to do was something called Do Not Trust. It crashed and burnt in the web, so there's no point in having it in HbbTV. You're setting expectations that won't be met. 206. So the requirements group did a call for proposals. We debated the responses at length. Then there's a vote just started amongst the HbbTV membership. So if you're a member, talk to your colleagues and make sure that you vote. We've got a list of things to add. So one thing that appears to be causing difficulty is deep linking into existing broadcaster VOD apps, catch-up apps, player apps. The term for them varies depending on the country you're in. We want to improve the availability of HbbTV and better use the usability around the red button, which was the cryptic comment you had earlier. We want to make it easier for people to sort and search for content that has particular accessibility preferences. This one is hard to explain, but it's basically 2 HbbTV apps at the same time. One running, say, for example, Dash.js or Shaka to do IP-based media playback, and one classical red button. And they could come from different people and different organizations. I've used the names that they have in the vote here to make it easier for members to correlate what I'm talking about. We've got a long list of candidates for tidying up. Since I have 5 minutes less than I was expecting, I won't go through those. You can see them on the slides when you get them. DRM specification. Vincent has said a little bit about this. So we had some bad experiences saying anything about DRM. Another organization had a nasty letter from a lawyer. So we were hyper cautious about this. Perhaps too cautious, but it resulted in market fragmentation. And even earlier than 2022, I think it was one of our meetings our previous meeting in Madrid, which is a long time ago. We had some feedback that people just couldn't make HbbTV Dash and DRM work in the real world. And for that, we created a reference app. But then we've also gone on, as Vincent mentioned, to develop a spec on the integration of HbbTV and DRM. The first version covers Play Ready and Widevine. We've got some objective criteria for adding more because we don't wish to be portrayed as a gatekeeper or somehow controlling. It should be published as ETSI, this magic number TS104277. The link there is to the public page on the ETSI website. It's a mixture of material, background of material, guidelines and requirements. And 205 will require terminals to support playback of DRM protected content. And we did a webinar on this. The link is there, but you can also, it's on YouTube. So if you go to HbbTV Association and sort by date, it'll be probably the second most recent one, I think. OPAPs, so much less dense slide. We are taking improvements on the OPAP spec based on the experiences with Freely, removing ambiguities, enabling more responsive apps, so for example, showing the channel change banner more quickly after you actually change channel. So then, as well as the specs, we deliver the test suite. So we have a summer release of the test suite called -2. So we've got the first DRM tests with that one, so first one's for Play Ready. We will have Widevine tests coming soon and improving the Play Ready test coverage, combining tests from the UK and from Italy. We're also improving the OPAP tests, and we're making improvements around the TA tests as well. Test Suite Release 3, which is the autumn release, focuses on maintenance and bug fixes. So 2025-3 contains just 3,400 tests. 90% are now improved, which is the highest number at any one time. And yeah, we've a few more tests, and we've got some improvements as well, and improvements to the OPAPs. For 2026, we expect to land more DRM tests. So completing the coverage of Play Ready and adding Widevine as well. And we will, for TA, we're focusing on restructuring tests to work with MSE for playing the ad. And of course, we'll have some 205 tests. For interoperability tools, I'll just highlight two of the activities of our IITF. We have the -DRM reference app I mentioned. We've done some bug fixes there. We've done some improved tests around live dash and subtitles. Thank you very much to the colleagues who helped us prioritize that. And we have a newer version of the dash validator has been released, including bug fixes and making it more maintainable for the future. And I'll stop there because I've been read for some time.
Thank you, Jon. Was that your final slide? Yes, it was. Thank you. You know, the first thing I want to say is that when you look at all this work that's happened, I think that Jon and the specification group deserve a round of applause specifically for the work and the progress that they've made. It's not easy, Jon, right? Pushing the rock up the hill.
So, when I was researching Istanbul and preparing for my visit here, one of the things that I noted that some people wrote about was Istanbul is a city of cats. There are cats everywhere. As I was walking from my hotel to this hotel, there were like a dozen cats in the park that I walked through. There were cats on the street.
I see where this is going, Jon.
You've heard this one before. I liken chairing a group in specification to herding cats. So if I worked for a Californian company that would allow these things and business cards were still realistic, I would have Chief Cat Herder on my business card.
Thank you. So, while you prepare your difficult questions for Jon, I have a question for you, which is kind of a high-level question. If this is your kind of state of the nation on the specs presentation, how are you feeling overall? Are we in a good place with the specifications, or are you overall frustrated with things?
Right now we are just fine-tuning what we have and catching up with the reality of what's in TV sets. Both stuff that's there and stuff that nobody uses, so we can probably remove it. The next big step, or not, will be whatever comes out of the study mission group that on all IP that Vincent mentioned. It's not clear when you will see all IP-only TV sets. As a TV manufacturer, the answer is probably not soon, but you will probably see IP-only countries sometime before you see an IP-only TV set.
And we certainly see homes being built that don't have a broadcast connection in them.
So we need to make sure that HbbTV can bootstrap itself in that context.
Yes. Jon spoke about the current ongoing vote on 2.0.6.
Yep.
Can I ask you, please, if you have already voted or plan to vote, and you're from an HbbTV member, please stand up. If you have voted already or intend to vote. Oh, this is interesting. Stand up, please. Stand up. We'd like to see you. Please stand. Thank you. Okay, so, oh, well, that's good. That's better than it looked initially.
Yeah.
Okay. How many votes would you expect to get from the members in a vote like that?
That's not my herd of cats. That's somebody else's herd of cats. I'd guess somewhere between 20 and 30.
Okay. Okay. And they're not all necessarily represented here, of course, in the room. Does anybody have a question? I'm aware that we're going for coffee next, so it should be a good one if you have a question. Yes?
So now it's Owen who's delaying your break, not me.
Yeah, but we're still 2 minutes away from the break, Jon, so we're on time. Please tell us who you are and...
Kutay Vardar from Dailymotion. Thanks for unpacking what you have on your roadmap and the future releases. It was very insightful. My question may be a bit too detailed, but I'm going to ask it anyways. Actually, I have two questions I just noticed. The first question is, you suggested that the content providers shall move to Dash or MSE. Is one format will be favorable from HbbTV consortium or no? And the second question, how would you envision the adoption of DRM with the existing HbbTV users? Thank you.
So do you have a preference for Dash or MSE?
So they're not mutually exclusive. You can use Dash. So when you're using Dash, you can either use the Dash player included in the TV set by the TV manufacturer, or you can use a JavaScript Dash player library, such as Dash.js or Shaka. And those JavaScript Dash player libraries build on top of MSE. So you can use either. It depends a bit on what market reach you're trying to achieve and how much testing you're prepared to do. If the older TV sets may not support MSE, or it may be more fragile. So for the older, if you really want to reach the older TV sets, you may need to use the native Dash player. But equally, it may be, if you're using Dash.js, then less reach, but it may be easier to achieve interoperability because it's always all the same Dash player. And both of them work with DRM. So the Dash DRM reference, we don't just pay for the Dash DRM reference app, we actually pay for it to be tested and run on a receiver zoo. So as long as you stick to the basics, so you're not trying to do something like key rotation, or if for basic simple VOD, then that works with PlayReady on just about everything going back a long time.
Thank you, Jon. A round of applause, please, for Jon Piesing. Thank you. Thanks, Jon.